yeah, part of the Q3 is to clear the mind and the heart to a degree of all the things that we've been told or taught or think about ourselves. All
Mm.
those, what's the word? Preconditions, those presumptions that we've got about ourselves. I want to clear them all
Right.
so that not only the clients but myself can go through a process of, it's like you could look at the heart as a container, like a glass or crystal container
Mm.
through which the light of the consciousness shines.
Mm.
Now, if that container is full of stuff, what the light that shone through and projected out is distorted
Mm.
to a greater or lesser degree, depending on how much the container's filled with stuff and what kind of stuff's in the container.
Mm.
And so to clear the container, to empty it, to clear it, to clean it, and then to realize its true nature, and then to allow only the true expression of that consciousness to shine through
Mm.
is the first step of what I'm taking the clients through, what I'm taking myself through as well.
Wonderful. Yeah.
So, because I think a lot of these things, and I was reflecting upon this earlier, a lot of these meditational practices, a lot of these exercises, these contemplations,
Mm.
they're very, very useful. However, I don't think enough of a foundation or groundwork has been done in
Mm.
order for them to take real root.
Right.
If you look at our modern mindset, most people are completely scattered and just distracted by everything and confused. They're containing so many ideas,
Mm.
and I can't overlook that. I need to acknowledge that.
Mm.
And so it's important that, because I realized in my own self, in my own process, how much of a obstacle is not the right word, but how much of a challenge it's been to actually make headway with some of these practices because of the lack of clarity within myself, whether it be personality wise, whether it be in my heart, what I've been cultivating, what I'm contemplating.
Okay.
For the same reasons as what I've mentioned with the analogy of the heart as a container or a crystal or a glass container
Mm.
and a projector, a receiver, a container, and a projector of consciousness.
Mm. Mm.
Because if, again, you know, if we think about the future ideal self, for example, that person, how are we going to get a clear vision in a dirty mirror?
Right.
And how are we going to know how to discern what that person, how that person moves, how he looks, how he moves,
Mm.
how he talks, what does he believe? What does he feel?
Mm. Mm.
What does he say? What does he
Right.
do?
Mm.
If all of those aspects of ourselves are confused already, how are we going to have any chance of seeing that clearly? I think that's our main issue. That's what I deem to be my main issue. And I think that's
I,
the main issue for a lot of people,
yeah.
that level of confusion that we have on all levels of our being.
Yes.
And because of that, the lack of clarity and ability to receive the image,
Yes.
contain it, and then project it.
Mm. Of course. That's perfect. It's like we're dealing with just a mass of knotted string or a knotted fishing line or something, and you can't in that in that knot you can't see either end of this piece of string. So, and no one wants to sit there and untangle it, for God's sake. Like, you don't want to do that,
Yeah.
but you can, and it's actually not that difficult. Like, I'm talking like literally to do that. It's not that big of a task,
It
or
just
it's not.
takes a decision, doesn't it? And a willingness to go
Like,
through that process.
yes, and then you can find that actually this is like a meditation. I'm unpicking this knot, and there's nothing else going on for me right now. I'm just unpicking this knot. It's easy. Like, here we go, I can do it. And it becomes like a beautiful thing. And so, oh, and I've ended up like with I can use this piece of string again because it's not knotted. Like, I know it's a bit of a scant analogy, but like the it
It makes a whole lot of sense. And
yeah,
yeah,
you're what you're talking about, clearing the heart and the mind. It's, as we were saying, it's from the inside out. And instead of going about it how many of us have been, with there's so many pieces to consider, and there's all of this and that. It's like, oh god, I have to think about that as well, and I have to do this, and I have to do, just rendering it down and simplifying it down to anything that's heart based like that, or centering, or
you know what's amazing is I realized, and I've been going through this process gradually over the particularly past few days, just you know, contemplating what is the ultimate process for this.
mm,
And I realized that what I've just described is the first step. It's naturally the first logical step.
mm, mm,
Because if you've got a container and it's full of stuff, how are you going to get more stuff in there if it's got a certain capacity?
right,
If
yeah,
it's full right now and you want to replace it with a new substance or a new expression,
mm,
then by definition you need to empty it.
yeah, that's
And
right,
if you want the new substance not to be tainted with what was in it before, you need to clear it.
mm, mm,
And you need to make a concerted decision about what substance you're going to put in.
right.
It's going
I
to be
love that.
shining that light through.
So today I yeah, sorry. Um, Today I cleared out my wardrobe. There was way too many clothes in there, stuff I don't wear anymore, and I've been wanting to do it for a while. I went through the process of being like, what do I want to keep? What do I want to get rid of? Most of it, the stuff that was in there, I didn't want to hang on to anymore. And now I have. So I went to the charity shop, took the clothes I didn't want there, and now it's like, I just love looking inside. It's like there's only things I want in here, and all this extra space, so that it makes getting in and out of it and finding what I want much easier than it was where it was just this wall of clothes. You couldn't even see what was in there anymore. This is We as a people perhaps have lost sight of the value of emptiness, right? Like, a vessel is only useful if it's because of the space, the empty space in it.
Yeah.
We often, like, in our communications with each other, might not you and me, I'm just saying generally, talk about emptiness as being automatically like a negative thing. Like, I feel empty, my heart's empty, or
To the physical mind, it is very.
right, right. The fridge is
The
empty.
physical
Everything,
mind wants everything to be happening. The
right.
physical mind wants constant entertainment
Mm, mm,
because without constant entertainment, the physical mind, feels like it's losing control.
yes.
So naturally, there would be a resistance toward the idea of emptiness. But if you can convince the physical mind that it will survive and it's to its benefit to be empty,
Mm,
then that process is easier and you can go deeper into it. And again, this is why clearing it, not only just the heart, the energy, but also the personality, all the beliefs that you've thought about yourself and believed about yourself and your past, where you think you're going, everything. If you can
wow.
clear all that,
Yeah.
clean slate, and then return to that soul star energy of your inception and conception in this lifetime.
Mm, mm,
And through that clear heart, you can allow in that signature frequency that is you. But you'll only know it's you when it's clear. And then, in order to, and this is why the processes I think have been so challenging for people, is that they haven't had that.
mm,
And so the process of embodying, seeing replicating, embodying, and being that preferential self has been made all the more difficult.
Right.
Because we haven't cleared the way first.
Yes. That's beautiful,
And
man.
so by clearing the way, it's I predict it's gonna be even easier to maintain and embody that true self
Mm,
indefinitely.
right. I can see that that is going to be the case, right? It makes so much sense. And this is something I hadn't necessarily considered in that way before, but it makes perfect
Well, I
sense.
mean, the thing is that, you know, when we're faced with a challenge or a problem
Mm,
to solve, and we really need to solve it,
mm,
um, you know, if we're willing to just sit down and say, okay, right. And this was part of the process. I needed to empty my mind and my heart as to any preconceptions that I had about what the process needed to be.
right. Yes.
And I needed to be willing to be shown what I need to do. I need to acknowledge that I don't know. Then I need to be willing to receive the inspiration and information as to how I can put this thing together or this process. It's as much for myself as it is for the clients.
I see. Well, that to me sounds like um the reason why I can see that it's going to be very effective, because you're walking side by side,
Yeah.
hand in hand with
Yeah.
both.
And so I want it to be, because I've struggled at times with embodying my true preferential self.
Mm,
And so I've asked myself recently, why have I been struggling? What is it that's been stopping me? Whether it's a conscious belief or not, I want to
mm,
know.
mm.
And I realized it was because I was full of stuff and I hadn't emptied it. And then the heart analogy is
Right.
glass, crystal, receiver, container, projector
Mm,
came to me. And also this idea of, being light,
mm,
being that this body is just a densification of light,
mm,
allowing the image of that preferential self to be in my heart and to expand outward as a holographic overlay and template.
mm,
And what are the differences between that ideal me?
mm.
Because this person before you now I created this. Every last detail, every last little detail I created. You created you, every last detail. I know that the person that sat before you now is not the ideal me. Might be quite close,
Mm.
but not spot on.
Right.
And so when I see the image overlaid of that blue-white light template of me, how does he look? Oh, maybe this bit's slightly bigger there, or maybe it's slightly sleeker there. However it looks.
Mm,
And then I can allow myself through the embodiment of that process to literally embody that. So I expect my physical body to look differently
right.
throughout this process.
Right. Yeah.
Not only my personality will change, but my energy will change. The
Mm,
way I feel to people will change. That process that I spoke about earlier about going into the festival and expressing that light. I was literally pushing the light out of me. That's a similar idea as to what I'm talking about. That hologram and allow myself to grow into and expand into that hologram and fill the spaces between where I'm at now and where I want to be, or where I
right.
know I am.
Yes.
It's not want to be, it's where I know I am, because that's who I am.
Mm, mm.
And
Yeah.
so there's lots of changes afoot, and it's
Exciting.
it's really exciting. It's going to be an interesting process to see how things unfold.
I thank you so much for sharing that and for doing such a good job of articulating so well, because I can feel and see the parallels as well that I have with myself in you could say that for a long time I've been looking to see how I can become the person that I know I am,
Mm.
that I'm finding myself not being in certain instances or throughout, every day. It's not like there's not been a day for a long time, I should say, for some time, where I've been like, that day I was myself all day long, or I was that
You're
person.
not alone, Mike. I
Right.
think, there's probably only like 0.00001% of people that actually can say hand on heart that they are fully themselves all the time. True
Sure.
self,
Mm.
signature frequency, fully embodied.
Mm.
Um, I've got I get the sense that this is similar for you. I've got very high expectations for myself and high standards, very
Yes.
high, exceptionally high. No one can push me. A man with a whip couldn't make me work harder than I already do.
Right.
10 men with whips couldn't.
Mm.
What I was going to say was just why it's on my mind and it's coming up.
Yeah.
This idea of potentiality, and the realization of that idea. Like you speaking about what we do with our days and the level of which we create consciously and purposefully. Part of the process that I'm going to be going through, I'm going through, and I'm going to take clients through is the embodiment of the embracing, first of all, and the embodiment of the stillness, the silence, and the spaciousness of our own nature
Mm.
in assisting us in clearing that way ahead.
Mm.
Because from the stillness, you get movement.
Mm.
But in order to move in the way you prefer, it's best to remain still first, then choose, and then move.
Sure.
From the silence comes speech and thought, you could argue.
Mm.
And so I need to choose what thoughts do I have as the preferential referential me, and then move in thought and speech. And then in spaciousness, how do I want to be in the world? Where do I want to go?
Mm.
From that center point, knowing I've got all potentiality and all possibility. Where do I see this person as me going and being? What do I do?
Right.
So it's all unfolded, and most of the processes are 3-phase, but I'm going to stack them
Okay.
to create one whole
Yeah.
frequency
Hmm.
that is complementary to whatever objective it is. So the first phase is the clearing, the perfection, the purification, and the healing, in order for the reception,
Mm.
the containing, the embodiment, and the projection. So that's what I'm thinking at the moment. This thing is an organic process, and I'm constantly being fed information from all sorts of places and spaces.
Well, I can tell. I can absolutely tell it comes across because I feel like in listening to you describe these processes, I was like, it seemed very much just outside of. It's like that idea has clearly come from that place just outside of physical reality, so to speak.
Yeah.
Just kind
And
of
you know what triggered it?
it's that.
Conscious choice to channel my higher self.
Right. Mm. Conscious choice to do so.
I was thinking to myself, I channel Alankar. Why can't I channel my true referential, preferential self?
Right. Yeah.
And I believed for a split second it was possible, and I was given all that I needed. And I continued to trust that.
Amazing.
And
Amazing.
so, yeah, it's a process,
Mm.
as all these things are. And it's exciting, and I'm not holding any expectation as to what needs to happen, and I'm just enjoying the ride.
Good. Well, it sounds like a fun ride, and I feel very much inspired um, to look at myself a bit more, to look at these things and reflect. You know, it sounds like a lot of fun. Like that's, you know, I feel there's so many instances. Like I know I keep saying this, but just where I feel we're in the same arena. The fact that we can perceive each other is evidence of that, isn't it? And
And I'm obviously here for you for certain reasons. You're here for me for certain reasons. Same with Jules.
yeah,
Same with everybody else that I, reflect with and work with and uh, have contact with, whether it be just momentary interactions during my day or um, yeah, it's all to realize that it's perfect, to realize that it's a perfect reflection,
mm,
to understand the nuances of the reflection and to be willing to learn
yes,
from it all that is the gift.
yeah, right, right. That's right. To treat it as a gift, to treat every instance as a gift. Thank you for that. Like, because uh, that's what it is, right? That's what we're being given. We're not given anything that isn't perfectly what it is. This is the orchestration, I think, that is spoken of.
Yeah.
It's clear, isn't it? It's clear to see, and all we need to do is trust it and, you know, bring it home and bring it into our own hearts,
Yeah.
so that we can see the synchronicities, the just like the sheer. I think if we could look at the synchronicities that are going on to their full extent, or even to a partial extent,
Mm.
we would be just gobsmacked and amazed, right?
Yeah, and that was that was one of many factors as to how and why I came to that purposeful decision
Mm,
to allow myself to know myself, to trust that I know myself, and to embody myself.
mm,
Because you and I know, mechanically speaking, what's going on.
yeah,
What a disservice I've been doing to myself to not honor that
mm,
fully on
right,
my end.
right,
And I think that's why I was pushed a little bit
okay,
recently
yeah,
into this position, because I realized on reflection that I hadn't been making enough of it. I came to that realization that I hadn't been making enough of the opportunities I've been given. This life, just in general, was an opportunity. I'm not talking about specific things, but life is an ultimate gift. And I think I was walking around in a bit of a daydream,
sure,
and I needed waking up.
right,
And I'm glad I was woken up.
mm,
I mean, people like you and I are already awake, so to speak, whatever that means. But um, I needed a kick in the ass
yeah,
and I wanted it
yes, yeah,
because I know that I can be more. I
mm,
know that I am more.
mm,
And yeah, so that was one thing that I was I was aware that there's so many strings being pulled on my behalf.
yeah,
Come on, do us a favor, make it easy for us. So much more you can be doing, so much more you can be, so much more you can
right,
give.
yes,
Um,
beautiful, man.
move forward, move forward, and yeah, that was one reason.
There's something that goes hand in hand for this, for me, is the idea that of just running out of reasons to
Yeah,
not do that,
yeah,
right?
that's it,
Like,
man.
what am I doing? Like, you wake up one day and go, what have I been doing? Like, why have I not been,
Yeah,
I
and the
not,
reasons why, like you say, the reasons why haven't I been? Because I know it's just a decision. Do
Right.
I know it's just a decision? Because if I did know, then I would just do it, because I know that knowledge and action are synonymous. So why am I fooling myself?
Right.
And it just gets to the point where you look at yourself in the mirror and you're like, come on, bruv,
Exactly.
sort
And that's,
yourself out. Stop
yeah.
playing games.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. That's what it feels like. That's what it feels like. It's like hanging out on this precipice of change of the self, right? And everything else that goes hand in hand with that kind of change.
Yeah,
And
and I want, sorry to interrupt, but I just
no.
want to, and that's what, as you were saying that, I just
Mhm.
realized that I desire this change to be real,
Mm, mm.
like real,
Yes.
like shockingly real for me and those in my life, whether it be family, friends, clients,
Mm,
acquaintances, strangers,
mm.
anything else that comes along with it, I don't care. I just, I just want to be real more than anything,
Right. Right.
and real for myself first and foremost.
Yes.
Like, like I was talking about, just honoring myself.
Mm, mm,
I really couldn't care less, what what comes of the changes that I'm about to go through, or I'm going through.
mhm.
Um, because all I want really is to embrace and embody my own power and respect and love myself. That's that's the motivation behind all of it.
Right. Right. This is it's kind of like where I feel everyone would arrive if they were to strip away the desires down to the core desire that they are.
Yeah,
Like,
because when you get to this point, you're like, everything else really doesn't matter.
no, no. It's like very much arbitrary in a sense.
Yeah, and like Bashara said before, um, you'll know when you've changed when you don't need to see any changes outside yourself.
Mm, mm, mm.
That's where I'm at now. I literally, and that's why clearing the chamber, so to speak, and filling it up with the light of me, I just know that what will be expressed and what will be reflected back to me will be, because I understand the mechanism, it'll
Yeah.
be perfect.
Yes.
It'll be a perfect reflection of that. And
Yeah.
so I don't need to worry about the nuances of, you know, oh, I need to fix everything and put it all in place and
Mm, mm,
push and pull and force. No,
mm.
nope.
Aye. That's it. It's even easier than we ever dreamed in a way, and
Yeah,
that's what we
but
had a
yeah,
hard time to grasp is like things. Anything worth doing is it must be difficult to go through, and it like understand that the challenges that we've experienced and will continue to experience, we have experienced in a way that is difficult, and it's there's nothing wrong with that. But being yourself, being anything that isn't yourself, is the most difficult thing you can do because that's not you.
it's torture.
Yeah, yeah, right.
That's why people are struggling so much, because they feel tortured.
Mm, mm,
Because either they've got the tools and they're not using them,
mm,
or they've got the tools and they don't know how to use them, or they've got the tools but they don't know they have them.
mm, mm.
And this for me, this process I'm going through and is is like it's like it's not the final attempt, but it's very much a refined, streamlined, logical approach towards, well, okay, I see all that. Let's be honest about what will work for me right now. Might not work for everybody else, but
Right.
what will work for me.
Mm,
And in so doing, I can then, assist others,
yes.
if need be, to figure out what will work for them.
Mm,
But this process at the moment seems logical to me, and I don't want it to be too logical, but at the same time, I need to acknowledge that the way I've been approaching things in the past up to now hasn't been working.
right.
And so it would be dumb of me to attempt to try and repeat the process or tweak something which is just similar to what I've been doing. So I needed a different approach, and so that's why I'm compiling and bringing together different things that I've been exploring throughout my life, and I begin to put these things that I've mastered together into one whole thing, in quite a organic, natural, sometimes unconscious way, like just being, ask, receive.
Yes.
I'm not at the point yet of being able to talk so eloquently as Yeshua, but we'll get there.
Yeah, sure. Well,
Ask, receive.
it will happen as
If it needs to.
yeah, sure, yeah. Par for the course, really. You know, it's like a side effect of just being yourself, and that is channeling your higher self that you are. That's who we really are, isn't it?
That's the most impressive thing, and that's another reason. And I'll leave you soon because I don't want to keep
Yeah.
any more of your time. But that's another reason as to why I made that decision. Because I asked myself, what's the most impressive thing I can do? Who would I be most proud to be? Who do I prefer to be? Who would I most be proud to be? Who would be the most impressive person I can think of? What's the most impressive person I can think of doing? And so that's when it's like,
Yes.
let's bring those elements, those aspects. And if I can see it, I know I can do it. And if I can do it, I know I can be it. So let's bring it from the imagination down to earth.
Yes.
And so,
Wonderful.
moving boldly, and yeah, just trusting that I know everything's happening for my own benefit, and to allow that process to inform me. I've always known that life teaches us all that we need to be. But again, knowledge and action are synonymous, Ben. So let's do it.
That's it.
It's a nice phrase, isn't it, Ben?
It's that in that demonstration, we're demonstrating to everyone, including ourselves, who we are, right? So by acting it out,
That
by
it's possible.
grounding it on.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure. Well, I know for a fact I've been talking myself into this decision for a long time.
Right.
No one else has had to talk me into it. I've desired it. But like you say, it gets to a point where you've made enough excuses, and you just need to. You've been stood on the precipice for a while, and the guy with the bungee rope's like, "Come on, mate, we've got about 20 more people to go here."
Yeah.
Kick him off.
Oh, shall we? It's that feeling of it's just time now. It's just time to do that, to be ourselves, and not that we have to, but because we prefer to, and it's just that straightforward.
Yeah, it is that straightforward. And you know what? I don't even want to change the world.
Right.
That's the funny thing about all this. I've realized I don't want to change the world.
Right.
I don't want to make the world a better place, because I know it will be a better place when I be myself.
Right.
And I know it will change when I be myself. So
And
all that wanting the outside to look differently and pushing and pulling things into place, I know it's all taken care of.
Right.
When I turn within and when I delve within.
Yes.
And when I allow myself to express outwardly.
Wow. Perfect. And in that sense, you are that world, because the world that we thought ourselves of as existing in is actually within our greater selves. So we can know that any change we make within ourselves is a total change everywhere, every when. It's one
and
thing.
To allow the full embodiment of my true self to be the goal. If I allow that to be my main focus, I know no one can stop me,
Right.
and therefore I am completely immune from failure, completely immune from disappointment,
Mm.
completely immune from um, you know, not having my expectations met.
Mm. Mm.
It's all internally orientated.
Right.
And
Right.
I know again that the more I focus on that, the more the outside will take care of itself.
That's
So it's
wonderful.
one big circle.
Yeah.
But
Right.
I'm only concerned about one half of that circle
Yeah.
because I know the other half will take care of itself.
Yeah. Right.
And that
Okay.
other half will inform what's going on in the half that I have control over.
Mm. Mm. Wow. Yeah. So we don't have to. We can just. We can just express outwardly, like the sun shines its light, whether planet Earth is here or
And
not.
that's a great analogy actually, because that container of the heart,
Mm.
when it's clear,
Mm.
it's like a sun.
Right. Okay. Uninhibited.
Yeah, uninhibited. And can you imagine the level of light and consciousness that can be shone through
Wow.
when you clear it, when you clean it, when
Yeah.
you have that strong intention?
Right. Well, that makes me think with
Limitless. Just
yeah
think
with
about the sun. Just
yeah.
literally, the sun is densified consciousness.
Mm.
I will literally become the sun.
Mm. Mm.
You will literally become the sun.
Mm.
Jules will literally become the sun. The sun of God, you could say.
Yeah.
Sun projecting the consciousness of
Mm.
all that is through it.
Mm.
Life-giving.
Right. And yeah, knowing yourself as that as well
Yeah.
is
One of the
getting
one of
clear.
the science prodigies, geniuses that works in the US with these secret crafts, alien crafts.
Right.
He actually created a engine or a container
Mm.
or a mechanism that would literally create an internal sun. And the rocket was actually propelled by the light and energy of that internal sun.
Wow.
And it went so fast, it was, I don't even know how you would describe it, but it's just insane. And so light is the energy, consciousness. When you really boil it down, what
Mm-hmm.
is energy? It's consciousness,
Yeah.
light.
Yeah. The stuff. The
Yeah.
stuff.
And so by clearing that area, clearing that space, um, I'm, yeah, God knows what's going to happen.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. We're setting ourselves up for lots of surprises, and that's part of the fun. To have our imaginations stretched and to experience things beyond what we could conceive of, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and being conducive to that's exciting to me, you know. Like
So
we're in
exciting.
this in a way, like when we feel like, wow, I have arrived at this place, and then that's just another beginning, you know. It's like a brand new start to a new journey that will lead us to some really interesting places for sure.
Yeah. And I'm looking to, like I said earlier, I mean, I don't necessarily want to shock people. That's
Mhm.
not what I'm here for. If there's anybody I want to shock, it's myself.
Right.
Um, but yeah, the potential is only just dawning on me.
Mm.
And Yeshua did say that greater things you shall do than I.
Yeah.
So,
And
and
he
I'm happy to be one of those people
mm.
that lead that way.
Me too. Me too. This is very exciting times.
Very exciting.